Richard Martin, and today I'm going to be persuading you on why we should start schools later throughout our country. So, for my introduction, the reason I think I'm credible for this speech is because I'm a student athlete, and I play football and baseball, and I know that like during the season, it's pretty rough. You get back pretty late, you don't have much time to do your homework or any schoolwork at home or any at-home activities. But my three points I'll be talking about in this presentation is number one, the different sleep cycles of teenage students, how it affects students and student athletes, and how it will increase performance for students and student athletes. So for my first topic, the sleep cycles. So most teenagers have very different sleep cycles compared to many other adults or kids, which doesn't allow them to get as much rest because they need more rest than most people. Students and student athletes in high school, they need more time for rest, especially student athletes, because they gotta let their bodies heal after a long practice or a long game, especially for football or basketball. It's pretty rough on their bodies. And then the Better Health Channel wrote this article here which talks about how teenagers only get between 6.5 and 7.5 hours of sleep, which they really should be getting around 8 or 9 hours of sleep, especially for student athletes. This getting less hours of sleep leads to sleep deprivation. Some causes are hectic after school schedule, overload of homework, and sleep disorders. Some effects include drifting off in class, depression, reduced athletic and academic performances, and poor decision making in class and at home. So for my second topic, effects of starting school later. With these different cycles, schools are trying to adapt for the students' health to help them perform better in school and out in their sport, out in the field. Harrison Wall wrote this article here in 2025, which talks about the 7 benefits of starting school later. These benefits are improved academic performances, longer and better quality sleep, extra time for full healthy breakfast, reduces risk of vehicular accidents, fewer behavioral problems, better physical health, and reduces dependence on caffeine, which most kids are teenagers aren't, they don't really need caffeine because they have a lot of energy, but it's not too good for you. But in 2024, Kat Persuasive wrote this article here, which talks about how 500 schools across the country who have 77% of students not get the right amount of sleep. Those 500 schools started moving hours back to improve their performance in the classroom and in sports. Just to move on to the next one. Increases performances for student athletes. As a student, sleep is very important. Like I said, you gotta let your body heal. Also, eating is very important for student athletes, but most athletes don't get back to school from away games until 11:30 or 12, and that's just getting back to the school. That's not even going home and taking a shower, get ready for bed. And most of the time you gotta do some homework, so you're going to bed around 2 in the morning. On December 13, 2023, Heather Wright wrote this article here, which talks about how athletes who don't get the right amount of sleep seem out of it at practices or games, don't do good in the classroom with grades, and don't have time to do at-home responsibilities. The National Institutes of Health wrote this article, which talks about how athletes who don't get good amount of sleep have bad mental health and many times seem depressed, which is not good for our generation. We don't need depressed people. In conclusion, today I spoke to you about the starting times for school, talked about the sleep cycle of students, the effects of starting school later, and how it increases performance for student athletes. My call to action would be, if you want to have better performances for your students, then help students get healthier sleep and starting schools later in the morning.